This is a very interesting boat indeed. This is an Oyster LD43. Now you may have heard of Oyster. Oyster are a very famous British high quality sailboat manufacturer, but in around sort of early 2000s they decided that they would like to build a motorboat for some of their customers who wanted to move into something a little bit easier to handle. So they came up with this. It's an Oyster 43 LD. It was a very expensive boat when it was new. They only made about 16 of these, I think I'm right in saying. But it's a really elegant, it's this sort of classic gentleman's motor yacht style of thing. It's a very interesting boat, and I'm going to give you a full tour of this one. Now it's worth mentioning first of all that this one has had a mild SETAG refit, and I'll point those bits out to you, but one of the first things is the fact they've redone all the wood cappings around the edge. You'll notice that this doesn't have a pulpit on the front. That was an owner specification thing when the boat was new. A lot of people chose not to have it because they wanted to keep the looks of the boat really sleek and elegant, and you can see that in the way that this shear line drops down here, and then look at this line here just above the windscreen, the way it sweeps round and down and back. It's a very, very pretty boat. The other thing to mention is I mentioned it's a 43 LD, and LD stood for lunch and dinner, because the idea of this was it was a sort of boat you'd take out with your friends for a nice bite of lunch out to sea or a nice dinner on board. So it was sort of, you know, in a way a day boat style of thing, although having said that there is accommodation on board, and of course it is a very capable sea boat. Now looking at the back of the boat, one of the things that you might notice is down here it's got jet drives on it rather than conventional propellers. So what these do is they are high pressure water pumps that pull water up from underneath and power it out of the back. And the reason for this was a couple of things. It meant that the boat could float, or can float I should say, not could, in very, very shallow water. So if you wanted to run this up close to a beach you could do. Also apparently makes it very manoeuvrable, and there's in fact an interesting little thing about that we'll see on board. And yeah, it just keeps everything very, very low profile underneath. Let's step on board and I'll take you around and show you a bit more of this, because it's an interesting boat. This is quite interesting. This, would you believe, is the transom door. This hinges up into this gap here. You can see how it fits flush into there, and so that's how you close off the cockpit should you want to. And then the cockpit itself, well, that's just here, and this immediately is what I'm talking about it being a lunch and dinner, because what you can do here is you can lift these leaves up on both sides, and that makes a massive dining table around here. You can of course put director's chairs down along here as well, and you can sit loads of people around here for a lovely lunch or dinner on board. And you'll notice these things here are because these open up and you've got cool boxes in there. You can see the refrigeration unit, so your drinks or whatever else you want to keep cool are to hand. These have been reupholstered. You can see the SETAG logos in fact on here. There we go. And you can see some of the quality as well. Look at the stainless steel doors, really big chunky opening there. And this one here pulls out. You can slide that back out. You undo these little node things here and they will slide out, and that means you can put a shade across here if you want to. There's been a camera system added to this one. You can see there's a camera just up on top of the mast there, and there's another camera then on this side. You can see it there, which SETAG have added, and that's because when you're at the helm here it just gives you a bit better visibility down this side and across the back of the boat when you're manoeuvring it. Let's head on in and I'll show you a bit more. Now, having had lunch outside, you might choose to have dinner in here, because again, this is all designed just to be a really big, comfortable social space. And then these tables fold out like this, and that one folds out to join it. And so again, you've just got a massive dining area there if you want it. These are height adjustable, as you can see, and you've got sections that slide out underneath to support those leaves when they are opened out. This has all been reupholstered. It's got new carpets, it's got new linings here. So no massive changes. They've kept the woodwork original and all that kind of thing. Just a really good freshen up. That looks great, doesn't it? Very, very smart. This boat back in the day, I remember these when they came out, and it was very much designed to be a sort of your aquatic Bentley, really. It was that sort of feel and quality. Up here, twin double helm seats. So again, from your dayboat point of view, you know, they're not maxing out accommodation by building this up and putting cabins back underneath it. They're making it really comfortable for a day out, so people can sit here when the boat's underway, chat, nice view. Lovely. Sliding window here, we've got the hatches up above as well, so plenty of light and air into here. This has been redone, and it's got new navigation kit in here as well. And in fact, you can see the view out of one of those cameras. That's the side camera that we looked at. So that's just allowing you to see the rear corner of the boat as you come in. We've got autopilot on here. Yanmar engines, we'll talk about those a little bit further on. So the Yanmar instrumentation is up there, and you've got rev counters there as well. And then all this has been relined as well. It's a nice colour scheme on this actually. It suits the boat. That sort of Bentley feel, isn't it? Fabulous. Look at this lovely wooden steering wheel. Gorgeous. So engine controls are here, twin engines, but what you've also got, which is interesting, is this, which they call a mouse controller. Now this basically, this is pre-IPS, bear in mind. This was one of the very first joystick systems, so you could push this around, and it is shaped, as you can see, like a boat. And the idea of that is that you can, well, basically maneuver the boat, you know, by moving this little model boat. So you move this little model boat to the side and the whole boat moves sideways, you move it forward to go forward. So when you're manoeuvring, that makes life an awful lot easier. This is interesting. This is an engine exhaust temperature sensor. If you were to get a blockage, obviously you've got the cooling systems for the engines and they will alert you if you get an overheat. But what that does, because it's an exhaust temperature sensor, if you get a blockage of the raw water, which cools the fresh water, you're alerted to it immediately before the temperature starts to climb on the engines. So that's actually quite a nice, useful feature to have. Trim tab controls are here, anchor winch control is here, nav lights, all that kind of stuff is all switched from there, and the engine start stops down here. New VHF radio. Lovely. Let's head on down. Now, interestingly, they did two versions of this. They did the LD, which this one is, which was by far the most popular, but they also did an OM43. The OM43, what they did here, you can see the galley. They moved that galley up to here. So you basically lose this sofa on this side, galley would go down this side, and you get another cabin here instead. But the vast majority of owners, when they spec this boat new, went for the galley down option, the LD option, and that gives you this wonderful big space down here. What's interesting about this actually is they haven't tried to get too much into it. As I mentioned, it's a 43-foot boat, but there's only one permanent sleeping cabin down here. And that again is back to that sort of gentleman's cruiser, day out on the water, somewhere for a nap, somewhere for a night on board, but it's not a family cruiser, it's not supposed to be. Here we've got things like dishwasher, which you wouldn't always tend to find on a boat of this size. Back then, we've got the all-electric cooking to the hob, and the combination microwaves up here, and then this is just bits of storage about the place for your very nice Oyster crockery in there, and that of course dotted all the way around. It's down here as well, and the sink is underneath here. Very nice. Love this clock and barometer on the wall. Fabulous. Over on this side then, the main distribution panel for the boat is here. So everything, all the circuit breakers are all switched from there. And underneath that one, so that is the 12 volt, I think it is, system on this one. Sometimes the 24, I'm not sure which this is, but that's basically batteries is what I'm trying to spit out. And then this one here is your AC system. So DC above, AC below. That's probably a better way to describe it. Generator controls are down here as well, and the main battery isolators. All nice and easy to get to. And then in here, heads. And again, because they've not tried to cram too much in, this is a really good size. Look at this. Now SETAG have put new flooring, the Savernight material here and here as well, new taps, new shower, all that kind of thing. But then the linings and everything else is original. So as I say, it's a freshen up rather than a complete total refit all the way through. It's nice though, isn't it? It's spacious. Bit of storage in behind the mirror. And there's a door that comes across here to close the shower off. Very nice. Got the hatch up ahead, that's nice as well. Oh, that's my phone. I should have switched to the silent, hang on. There we go. And yeah, blinds of course that come across these like this. Bug screen one way as usual, night screen the other way. There we go. So that's that. Let's head on forward. And then in here, again, it's a light touch refit because we've got new carpets. There are new linings in places like this, new headboard, new linings up here in the ceiling, new lighting. You can see it down underneath here as well. But again, original wood, original GRP here. Just a light touch. Storage in places like this. And of course, all the way around here, under the bed, down here. Very nice. New bedding on here. All feels nice and fresh actually. Lovely. Okay, let's head on back a little bit further. Fridge is down there in case you're wondering where that was. There we go. You can see that's all nice quality stuff, can't you? As I say, these were a very expensive boat in their day. Right, last thing to talk about, I think, is engines. There's new lighting down underneath here as well, which is nice. So to get to the engines, they're underneath these seats on either side. There are buttons at the helm. Let's just open this one. There we go. So if we duck down underneath here, we will discover, well, massive fuel tanks for a start. Look at those. And the engines themselves, that's interesting. They've got covers over them. I've not seen that before. They're in behind here. How interesting. I wonder if that is just like a winterizing thing. I don't imagine you'd run with those on, but I don't know. I've not seen that done before. But that's where the engines are. They're hiding underneath there. And you can see there's another one on the other side. And obviously we get to that in the same way by lifting the other seat up on the port side. How intriguing. Generator lives up there, again, with its little coat on. Well, I'm fascinated by that, and I honestly don't know whether those are just like a thing for when the boat's being left or whether they're left on there permanently. Intriguing. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is that they are a pair of Yanmar diesels and they are 480 horsepower each. And they're giving this boat about 30 knots flat out, I believe. So cruising, I'm going to say 20-25 is the sort of area. I don't have range figures, but this sort of boat you're normally looking at about somewhere between 200 and 300 miles is typical of fast cruising. A lot further if you're going a lot slower as usual. How intriguing. They've got their little coats on. There we go. Fuel filters down here. It's quite good because you've got doubled up fuel filters. You can switch from one to the other. If you have a blockage in one, you switch across and away you go. And then battery banks down here. This is interesting. This is a paralleling switch. So you've got engine start batteries and you've got domestic batteries. And if your engine start batteries are flat, you can parallel. That means it's a bit like putting jumper cables on and you can start from your domestics. But otherwise they're kept completely separate. There we are. Intriguing, isn't it? Remarkable. I need to find out about those covers now. Good, there we are. Let's drop that one back down. Let's back up here and find the switch. And that, my friends, is about the size of that. Other than to say that stood here, it does smell absolutely delicious. I think this must be new leather on here. Well, in fact, it is new leather on here. That's fantastic. It smells gorgeous. Let's trundle back out here. Pop my shoes back on. I think we're going to head back onto the outside and take a final look because this is such a pretty boat. Look at this stainless steel work around here. Lovely. Doesn't that look nice? It's one of those classic boats where they've not tried to cram too much in and just created a really elegant looking machine. Fabulous. And that, my friends, is about the size of that. I just want to say massive thanks to SETAG. They've just finished this refurbishment, so they invited me down to take a look. Massive thanks as ever to you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of that one. That's something a bit different, isn't it? And we'll catch you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.